The call through darkness. The crystalline spires of luminescence gleamed under three purple suns, their surfaces catching and reflecting light in patterns that had inspired poetry for millennia. For the seraphim, a race that had evolved past the need for conflict thousands of years ago, this day had begun like any other. Their feathered forms moved gracefully through floating cities, tending to art, science, and philosophy. High Counselor Vestra stood in the great observatory, her iridescent wings folded carefully behind her. The neural network connecting all seraphim hummed with contentment. Then, in an instant, that harmony shattered. High Counselor, called Starwatcher Kin, his usually melodic voice strained with fear. Unknown vessels approaching from the void. They're not responding to our peace frequencies. Vestra's golden eyes widened as the holographic display materialized before her. Dozens of angular, black ships cut through space like knives through silk. The Nexari Empire had found them. In the communication sanctum, Ambassador Lyra worked frantically with her team. The Seraphim had encountered other species before, always managing peaceful exchanges. But these newcomers radiated hostility like a star radiated heat. The Nexari demand our complete surrender, Lyra reported, her feathers trembling. They speak of consuming our resources, enslaving our people. Our peaceful overtures mean nothing to them. The first attack came without warning. Energy weapons the Seraphim had no defense against carved through their orbital platforms. In minutes, structures that had stood for 10,000 years became drifting debris. We must send out a call, Vestra decided, her voice carrying across the neural link to every seraphim. If there are others in this galaxy, they must know what happens here. Lyra nodded, understanding immediately. Deep beneath the crystal archives lay their greatest achievement, a quantum transmitter capable of sending messages across impossible distances. They had built it out of curiosity, never imagining they would need it for survival. As explosions rocked the planet's surface and Nexari drop ships descended like falling shadows, Lyra and her team worked. The message had to be perfect, had to convey their desperation without seeming like a trap. She stood before the great machine, placing her hand on the activation crystal. This is Ambassador Lyra of the Seraphim people. Our world faces annihilation by the Nexari Empire. We are peaceful beings with knowledge spanning eons, but we have no weapons, no means of defense. To any who hear this, we offer our science, our culture, everything we are, in exchange for aid. Please, we have younglings who have never seen violence. Do not let us fade into silence. The transmitter hummed to life, sending their plea racing across the cosmic void at speeds that defied conventional physics. As Nexari warriors breached the outer defenses, as ancient libraries burned and peaceful gardens became battlefields, that message traveled outward, seeking anyone who might listen. Light years away, in a small corner of the Milky Way, Earth spun quietly around its yellow sun. The Deep Space Monitoring Station Alpha, hidden in the Nevada desert, maintained its endless vigil. Sarah Reeves, night shift supervisor, nursed her fifth cup of coffee while scanning routine data streams. Her console suddenly erupted with alerts. "What the hell?" she muttered, fingers flying across the keyboard. The signal was unlike anything in their databases. Complex, layered, clearly artificial. "Jim, get over here," she called to her colleague. Together they worked to decode the transmission, and when the universal translator finally locked onto the pattern, they stood in stunned silence. The message played through the speakers, Ambassador Lyra's translated words filling the small control room. Sarah's coffee mug slipped from nerveless fingers. Within 6 hours, the recording sat before the United Nations Space Command Emergency Council. The room buzzed with heated debate. "We don't know these aliens," argued General Morrison. "This could be a trap. Our first responsibility is to Earth. And if it's genuine," countered Dr. Elena Vasquez, head of the Xenobiology Division. "If we ignore this and an entire species dies." Admiral Michael Chen stood, his weathered face grave. The room fell silent. Chen had commanded Earth's first deep space exploration fleet, had seen humanity reach for the stars. Ladies and gentlemen, we've wondered for generations if we were alone. Now we know we're not. And the first thing we hear is a cry for help. He looked around the table. I spent my life preparing for first contact. I won't let it be a memory of cowardice. The vote was close, but humanity chose to answer. Within days, the Fifth Fleet assembled at the Luna shipyards. These weren't exploration vessels. They were Earth's guardians, bristling with weapons, carrying the best of human military technology. Captain Maria Torres stood on the bridge of the flagship Thunderbolt, watching as ships took formation around her. The Singapore, the Soweto, the Sao Paulo, vessels bearing names from every corner of Earth, crewed by humanity's finest. All ships report ready, Admiral, she said to Chen, who had taken personal command of the mission. Chen nodded, his hand resting on the quantum drive controls. They would be pushing the experimental technology beyond all tested limits, racing across impossible distances to reach the Seraphim in time. Signal all vessels, he ordered. Tell them we're about to show the galaxy what humanity stands for. Down in the Marine barracks, Commander Jake Rodriguez checked his assault team's equipment one final time. His soldiers were volunteers all, men and women who understood they might be flying toward certain death. Listen up, he addressed them. We don't know what we'll find when we get there, but somewhere across the stars, people are dying. Kids are scared. And someone thinks they can get away with genocide because they're strong and their victims are weak. He slammed a fresh charge pack into his pulse rifle. They're about to learn different. In the science bay, Dr. James Williams and his team pored over every scrap of data from the Seraphim message. If they could understand even a fraction of the advanced science mentioned, it might give them an edge. Look at these quantum equations, whispered Dr. Amit Patel. They're centuries ahead of us, if we can save them. When we save them, Williams corrected, failure isn't an option. The fleet launched at 800 Earth Standard Time. 57 ships carrying 8,000 souls, racing toward a conflict they barely understood, to save a species they'd never met. As the quantum drives engaged and stars blurred into streaks of light, Admiral Chen sent one last message to Earth. Command, this is Admiral Chen. We go now to answer a call for help, to stand against tyranny, to declare to the cosmos that humanity will not stand idle while innocents suffer. We may not return, but let our actions today echo through eternity. Thunderbolt Fleet, engaging quantum jump. The ships vanished in flashes of blue-white light, hurtling across the galaxy faster than any human had traveled before. Behind them, Earth watched and waited. Ahead lay the unknown, and a species counting their final hours. In the void between stars, humanity raced toward their destiny, carrying with them all the fierce determination of a young race that refused to let evil triumph simply because it was strong. The Seraphim's crystalline cities burned. Their calls for mercy went unheard. But through the cosmic dark, help was coming. And it was coming angry. When giants answer, the human fleet erupted from quantum space at the edge of the Seraphim system, like thunder breaking silence. Admiral Chen gripped his command chair as the Thunderbolt's sensors screamed warnings. Dozens of Nexari warships surrounded the blue-green world of luminescence. All stop, Chen ordered. Tactical, give me a full scan. Captain Torres studied the displays. 63 enemy vessels. Admiral, they've blockaded the planet completely. I'm reading massive energy signatures on the surface. Orbital bombardment is ongoing. Through the viewport, they could see it. Luminescence, a world that looked like Earth's cousin, wrapped in clouds that sparkled with unnatural fire. The Nexari ships were dark leviathans, their hulls adorned with conquest marks from 100 fallen worlds. Sir, the communications officer spoke up. I'm detecting Seraphim life signs on the surface, but they're concentrated in small areas. The Nexari are systematically destroying their cities. Chen's jaw tightened. They had arrived not to a battle, but to an execution in progress. "Open a channel to the Nexari fleet," he commanded. The main screen flickered, revealing a creature that made several crew members step back. The Nexari commander stood 9 feet tall, its form a nightmare fusion of insect and reptile. Compound eyes glittered above mandibles that clicked as it spoke. "Unknown vessels, you trespass in Nexari conquest space. Identify yourselves, or be destroyed." Chen stood, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's first martial declaration to the stars. "I am Admiral Michael Chen of Earth. We're here responding to a distress call. Cease your attack immediately and withdraw." The Nexari commander's laugh was like grinding metal. "Earth, another soft species to harvest. You will join the Seraphim in servitude. Your worlds will feed the Empire's hunger." "That's where you're wrong," Chen replied, his voice dangerously quiet. "We're not soft. We're new. And that means you have no idea what we're capable of. Last chance. Withdraw." The Nexari's response came in the form of weapons fire. Energy beams lanced toward the human fleet, but Chen was already moving. "All ships, execute Protocol Thunder. Show them why humans dominate their world." The human fleet scattered like a school of fish evading a predator, but this school had teeth. The Thunderbolt's point defense systems sparked to life, creating a web of intercepting fire that shredded incoming missiles. Around them, Earth's ships demonstrated why humanity had never found peace easy. Commander Rodriguez watched the tactical display from the assault ship Warrior's Pride. "Prep for combat drop," he ordered his Marines. "We're going in hot." The space battle erupted in earnest. Nexari ships, accustomed to overwhelming peaceful species, found themselves facing a race that had turned warfare into science. Human vessels, smaller but faster, danced between enemy fire while their railguns punched through shields designed for energy weapons. On the Singapore, Captain Lai Wei executed a maneuver that would enter military textbooks. His ship dove beneath a Nexari dreadnought, all guns firing into its exposed belly, then pulled up sharply as 2 enemy cruisers moved to bracket him. The cruisers' fire struck their own flagship. "Sir," Torres called out on the Thunderbolt, "I'm receiving a transmission from the surface. It's the Seraphim." The image that appeared showed Ambassador Lyra, her feathers singed, golden eyes wide with desperate hope. Behind her, the crystal spires of her city crumbled under Nexari assault. "You came," she breathed. "The message we thought no one would hear." "We heard," Chen assured her. "Hold on. We're coming." Dr. Williams had managed to establish a data link with Seraphim scientists during the battle. "Admiral, they're transmitting technical specifications. My God, their shield technology, if we can integrate it." "Do it," Chen ordered. "Whatever edges we can get." The battle raged for hours. Human ships died. The Mumbai exploded in atomic fire. The Cairo broke apart under concentrated plasma bombardment. But for every human vessel lost, 3 Nexari ships joined them in death. Then came the moment that would echo through galactic history. The Nexari super dreadnought consumption of worlds, pride of their fleet, moved to finish the human flagship. Its main gun, capable of cracking moons, began its charging sequence. Captain Torres looked at Admiral Chen. "Sir, if that weapon fires." Chen nodded grimly. "Signal all ships. Execute Final Thunder." Across the human fleet, a coordinated action began. Every ship fired specialized missiles, not at the enemy, but into empty space around them. The missiles detonated in sequence, creating a massive electromagnetic pulse that washed over the battle zone. Nexari technology, dependent on bioneural interfaces, convulsed. Their ship's systems stuttered and failed for crucial seconds. In those seconds, humanity struck. The Thunderbolt's main gun, a weapon reverse-engineered from fragments of ancient Mars ruins, spoke once. A column of compressed matter traveling at near-light speeds struck the consumption of worlds, passing through its shields like they were tissue paper. The super dreadnought split in half, its death visible from the planet's surface. But the true turning point came from below. Rodriguez and his Marines had fought their way to Luminescence's surface during the battle. Now they stood with Seraphim civilians, protecting evacuation sites as Nexari ground forces advanced. "Hold the line," Rodriguez shouted as his pulse rifle cut down charging Nexari warriors. Around him, humans and Seraphim stood together, the peaceful aliens finding courage in humanity's defiance. Then something extraordinary happened. The Seraphim began to sing. It wasn't just sound, it was harmonized thought, transmitted through their neural link. Dr. Williams, working with Seraphim scientists, had found a way to amplify it through human communication arrays. The song spread across the battle zone, carrying with it the Seraphim's history, their dreams, their fear, and newfound hope. Even hardened Marines found tears on their cheeks. The Nexari, creatures who had never known beauty, recoiled in confusion and something like pain. In space, the tide turned decisively. The Nexari commander, its compound eyes reflecting the burning wreckage of its greatest ship, issued the retreat order. But Admiral Chen had one more surprise. "All ships, form up. Show them the path out of this system." The human fleet formed a corridor of fire, a gauntlet the Nexari had to run to escape. As enemy ships fled, human guns spoke selectively, crippling engines, destroying weapons. The message was clear: you leave alive, but defanged. The last Nexari vessel limped into quantum space 12 hours after the battle began. In their wake, they left a changed galaxy. The Seraphim, saved from extinction, stood in wonder as human ships maintained protective orbits around their world. Ambassador Lyra met Admiral Chen in person as human shuttles brought aid to the surface. Her wings spread in a gesture of profound gratitude. "You saved us," she said, her voice carrying harmonics of emotion. "We had given up hope. We thought the galaxy held only silence or cruelty." Chen looked at the burning cities being rebuilt, at human medics treating Seraphim wounded, at Marines sharing rations with alien children. "Ambassador, we've been looking at the stars for centuries, wondering if we were alone. Finding out we're not, only to discover people needed help. There was never a choice." Dr. Williams approached, tablet in hand. "Admiral, the Seraphim are sharing their technology freely. What they know about physics, medicine, agriculture, it'll advance us by centuries." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "It's the least we can offer, but more than that, you've given us something we thought lost forever." "What's that?" Chen asked. "Hope, and perhaps friends." As the human fleet prepared for the long journey home, they left behind more than just a saved species. They left a declaration written in fire across the stars. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they would not tolerate tyranny. The Nexari Empire, nursing its wounds, spread word of the new players in the cosmic game. Species across the galaxy, both predator and prey, took note. Some planned, some worried, and some, like the Seraphim, felt something they hadn't known in eons. They felt protected. Rodriguez stood with his Marines as they boarded their transport. One of his soldiers, a young woman from Nigeria, asked, "Think we made a difference, Commander?" Rodriguez looked at the Seraphim children waving goodbye, at their parents standing taller, at warriors who had discovered courage they never knew they had. "Private," he said, "we just showed the galaxy that when someone screams into the void, humanity answers. And we answer with thunder." The fleets separated, humans returning to Earth while the Seraphim began the work of rebuilding. But between their worlds now stretched an invisible bridge of alliance, friendship, and mutual respect. The galaxy would never be the same. The silence had been broken, not by conquerors, but by protectors. And in the cosmic dark, predators began to learn a new fear, the fear of humanity's righteous fury. As Admiral Chen's final log stated, "We went to the stars seeking knowledge. We found purpose instead. Let the galaxy know. Humanity stands guard, and we're just getting started."